Well, but it's my first Zoom. Huh?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I made one with my wife, but she did all the connection, all that.
Yeah.
But
Well, the podcast is it's pretty casual, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask you a few questions, and we'll see where we go. You're allowed to
Exactly,
ask
and
me questions. We can talk about whatever we want. There's no format. Uh, just no nudity and swearing.
I swear.
Oh man, twice in 2 days. It's an honor to talk to you, my friend. All
But
right.
it's always a pleasure, Hans, to have a conversation with you, whatever is the topic.
Okay.
But there is a disclaimer.
What's
First,
the
I must
disclaimer?
apologize, and I must declare that if all the inaccuracy or all these kind of things, per advance, sorry, because it's just we are sharing our experience, you as well, and I mean it might not be true or it might not be totally right. It's just our modest observation and experience, right?
Thank
So
you.
disclaimer.
Thank you for your professionalism, Matthew. Okay. You ready?
Okay, I'm listening to you.
Okay. This is an interesting question, and I like to start off a lot of talking to a lot of my guests on the show with this question, and I'm always surprised by the answer. How has life turned out differently to how you imagined so far?
Yeah, you start very.
We
You
get
start
right in
with
there, man.
questions. uh, Me, I already have had more. I've already been much beyond than whatever I could expect or imagine. There are a lot of things that I haven't realized, but the surprise of the life about how the things are happening. Yeah.
Maybe tell us
So
about your beginning. Maybe tell us about your beginning and what you were thinking as you're growing up. What did you think life was about? And then how that changed over time as you went through. And we have a lot of time, so you can. There's no rush.
I can speak about professionally, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an important part. And I first of all, when I was a child, uh, until I was 20 years old, I never had a clear idea of what I would like to do later. There are many things that I was interested in, but the main thing for me is that I didn't want to have a work. I didn't want to have the impression to go to work. Actually, the work I'm doing now, which is tennis coach, all of my childhood and teenager time, and also when I was a young student, I really didn't want to do that. For me, all the example of tennis coach that I had seen at that time around me were not really good example. I mean, as a human, as a person, I really didn't want to become like them. And I was also not convinced that it's actually possible to teach other people tennis. What I wanted is I wanted to play. I consider myself and still nowadays as a player. It's not a question of level, because my definition of a player, It doesn't match at all with the level.
Mm.
But what I wanted to play as much tennis as possible with my friends. Then I was interested, I was curious in life. And when I was thinking about the future professionally, I would rather see me like maybe a journalist or scientific. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I wanted to explore the world, like to be a cartographer or navigator or this kind of, because it was hero and it was impressive. And the last of the last is, okay, if I fail in my life, I still can be a tennis coach. But not if I succeed, right? And what happened is that this thing came back to me, and then I've met very important people who are still my friend nowadays. And like a destiny, even if I try to do other things, this teaching always came back to me. Because I love to play. I love the contact with children. And an important point also, it's because I started to give a few lessons when I was a teenager, because I was a volunteer in my tennis club, and the idea, and we didn't make any money, of course, at that time, and I really, for me and also for my friend at that time, I remember that earning money by playing tennis, for me it was a bit like a kind of a scam, a kind of how can you be paid to do something which is a pleasure? You know?
Yeah.
Of course now I think differently, because this is a real profession who has got a lot of commitment, and also now I need to make a living for me, for my family, so it's different. But when you are a teenager, so the life has surprised me in that sense, and I wanted to travel, and this has helped me to travel. And I wanted to meet a lot of different people, and this has helped me to meet a lot of different people, and really much more than whatever I would have expected.
And
I don't know. Maybe I haven't answered the question.
No. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. If you could go back to, if you could travel back in time to be able to talk to yourself, maybe when you're, maybe 15 years old, knowing what you know now, what might you say to him to prepare him for the future?
Well, when I was 15, it was about having fun. But at 15, at 14, a few things has happened to put me on that path.
What happened?
Even earlier, I was 13 years old when the tennis coach of my little associative tennis club left. He left to go teaching on the WTA tour.
Wow.
So, and the president of the club, who was also a teacher at the school, and he was a sports teacher, told me, Matthieu, you need to help us and to take some group of children. So I was 13 years old. I was not a good tennis player. I was playing a bit of competitions, a bit of things, but very average. And at 13, I started to give a few teaching without knowing anything. So I was just reproducing what I have seen, trying to feel, trying to give my best. And it was a great pleasure to do that with the children. And at 15, the French Association of Tennis that year, I was 15, just launched a program to do like kind of formation to be like an assistant coach. So the idea, you couldn't get paid, but to be allowed to be on the court with another tennis coach, certified. You had to do this kind of degree. So it was 1 week of a camp. And during that 1 week, I was the youngest. Like I was 15, and the year after, they decided that it was not allowed under 18 or something like that. So it was a gap in the law, in the rule. So I was 15, and I was doing this certification, and I had the chance to do it under the supervision of a great guy, which is doing other things now, but who was a good tennis coach, Anthony Giraud. And in 1 week, he has learned me the structure of a tennis session and all the basic fundamentals in techniques that I'm still using nowadays, and that all the tennis coach who are doing their job properly are using. So I learned that at 15. And then it was only having fun. Then it was, at that time, we didn't have any teaching ourselves, but we were spending so much time at the tennis club because I was with a bunch of a few other guys of my age. We were having so much fun. We were playing 1 hour. Sometimes we were playing 30 minutes of tennis. Then we were playing football for 5 hours. But we were there. We were at the tennis club every day.
Amazing. So you never told me the story, or maybe I just forgot. But so you're a bit of a child prodigy.
But no, but it's not at all. But not at all. I mean, I think I've done nothing special, but just I had this opportunity. Like this president told me, Matthieu, you will take a group now because the coach has left. So I'm taking a group. This person is taking a group. So we need you, the young people, to take a group. So I took a group. And my first student, it was my young sister, 5 years younger, with a bunch of friends. Some mini tennis, so we call it mini tennis, like 5 years old, 6 years old. There was a group like that on Saturday. And then I was doing that, and I was doing that with some other friends. We were doing that. Then we were spending our day at the tennis club. We went to buy a pizza, and that's it. Some of them, my friends, they had motorbikes, and we. And and it's a regret that myself I never had the formation, the technical formation. What's
that mean? What do you mean by that?
I mean that I found out later. So that was in 2001 so after doing a few, because I went to university, I've done some studies in other areas, and tennis I was doing earth science, so geology, and while still playing tennis and while still giving a few lessons. But then when I turned 21, when I passed my degree in Toulouse, so that one was a 1 year class, 1 year degree. I found out that my limit as a tennis player when I was young was a little bit physical, but was mainly technical, because I never I never have been given the formation, the technical formation. So I was struggling a lot in some part of the game, and so I had the limits at a certain level, because you start to play against some guys who understand and who are able to because they have a proper technique, they are able to have different strategy, and of course. Me, I was very limited because I had only one strategy.
Can you tell us a little bit more specifically about that area of tennis? What do you mean by that you didn't develop certain foundations in strategy and technique?
Basically,
and you can go really specific, and detailed. Like, I'm really curious.
But in order to be able to act and to change your strategy, or you need to be able to utilize different shot selections. And you cannot do it if you don't have the right technique. You just fight to survive, and you just fight to send the ball back in within the limit of the court, but you cannot have a tactical objective. For instance, for years I was playing without a backhand. So you compensate by running a bit more, you compensate by improving your forehand a bit. But then there is a limit, because there is a moment your opponent plays so fast that you don't have time to turn around your backhand to play a forehand instead. And you will never run faster than the ball. But then I found out later, when I started to teach more seriously, like full time, and then that it's very easy to learn. There are a few things to do, maybe 2 or 3 things to do that I never heard about. You need to change your grip. Me, I was playing a backhand with a forehand grip.
Yeah.
You need to rotate your shoulder early, like to prepare the shot early. No one has ever told me that, or maybe they have told me, but I didn't understand. You need to be well balanced. That's it. And with that, you can play a backhand. And you can play a backhand cross court, you can play a backhand down the line, you can play high, you can play low, you can use topspin, you can slice. But me, I didn't know that. I was playing with an open stance without turning my shoulder, with a forehand grip. So I was sometimes able to counter a little bit the opponent. So I could do some passing shots sometimes, surprisingly, because it's just countering a ball. But I was not able to decide where I was putting the ball.
Wow, that's so interesting.
So it's a limit.
And how long have you been playing tennis at that stage? How many years?
But I've been playing since I was 4 or 5, and I've been able to play a backhand when I was 22.
Wow.
So for 17 years.
17 years later, you discover this new technology of the backhand.
Same with the serve.
Well,
the toss, the balance.
Was there a specific teacher or an experience that led you to, when you rediscovered those things, or was it a very gradual trial and error kind of progression towards you having that realization?
It's interesting. There are 2 things. One is by the practical, by teaching, because you have to show your students, and by teaching because you have to think about. Me, I was playing. I was not analyzing when I was young. I was just playing the ball. But then when you teach, you have to think about what is happening. And then it has been very fast, because I had the chance at that time to be working next to Anthony Alpanda, my good friend Anthony, which was extremely knowledgeable, with a great experience, both as a player and as a coach. And his explanations were clear. And when you try it, you see that it works. It's right. And I have to be careful nowadays, because of this frustration, because of that, I have a tendency to insist a little bit too much on the technique, because I compensate.
Right.
So I found out that a bit later.
Wow, because as you know, we played a bit of tennis together as well, and for me, I always felt like, if you compare chess to tennis, right? Playing chess to playing tennis, right? In chess, there's no skill required to physically move a pawn to where it should go. Do you know what I mean? You just pick it up and you move it. As soon as you have the physical dexterity of a 5-year-old child, right? You can perform the moves. As long as you know what each of the pieces do, you can instantly perform the moves as they are designed to be performed, right? So the the area of the battle goes straight away to the mental, the strategy, right? But in tennis, I started playing tennis maybe when I was 13, 14. In tennis, you there is a very big skill curve to be able to perform the basic moves, to be able to move the ball to the direction that you want to, right? So when I started, my first big challenge, it wasn't even, it had nothing to do with the strategy, right? Or the
Yeah,
mental of
normal.
tennis. It was just get the ball over the net and in the other side,
Yeah,
right?
but it's the first one. It's the first step that everyone has before going to the second stage.
Mm. But
You have to master this one. You don't start by the other one. You start by this one
yeah,
for everyone.
yeah, and um, I wonder. I
Which is
think about
already
this.
difficult. Huh?
That's what I mean. It's already
No,
difficult, and I
it's
think
already
about this a
difficult
lot.
because it takes.
Yeah.
This one is not about the technique.
Mm.
This one is the first stage of a tennis player. Is to understand how you can win a point and
Mm.
to understand the key things about this game. And you have to understand that. And some people are stuck at that stage.
Yes. Yes. And me, I've coached, I've taught tennis to a fair number of my friends and adults, youth, and most of what I teach, what I was able to teach, because I understood it, was technique. Because I went through that
Yeah.
learning curve of being able to, you know, uh, to apply a forehand cross court down the line with topspin, with backspin, do these kinds of things, right? But and I feel like most people on the planet who learn to play tennis, right? They're not professionals, right?
Hmm?
They're doing it for fun. They play. Maybe I'm not sure if this is true, but maybe the majority of the people on Earth who play tennis, maybe they play 3 times a year. They have a racket in their
Yeah.
closet, and then
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
go down the road.
Mhm.
And so I feel like for most people on the planet, the experience of playing tennis is all about the technique. But when you watch the pros play, when the pros play, I feel like they're seeing a different game. They're no longer thinking about how to perform a move, but I feel like they'll be seeing a different area of the game where for me, I'm only able to get there when I'm in the zone for very short periods of time during
Mm.
some select matches. I feel like, oh, okay, for some reason today, everything's working, right? And then I can start to forget about the technique and start moving the
Yeah.
ball. Yeah.
It's the things that where if you're in a opposition, like it's a match. Tennis is not only a match. It's not only playing match. You can also rally with a friend. It's still tennis. You are partnering actually with your partner, and you are not opponent. So that's an important part as well. But in the opposition game, like in the match things, you will not think about your technique really
Mm.
because there are too many informations to worry about before that. So first you try to survive, you try to get the ball, you try to track the ball, you try many things, and you cannot. I mean, you will not change a way to do something during a match or whatever.
Mm.
Match is different. It's more a mental and a physical battle. And actually, the advantage of this good or pro player is that they play so much that they are in a stage where it's like they are, for us it's a kind of trance, a kind of
Mm.
euphoria that we can reach when we play a lot, but they are on that stage every day all the time.
Mm.
They play so much, so it plays by itself, but then it helps them, and they have a fantastic ability to think about what is happening in the match.
Mm.
What is their opponent doing? They counter with a strategy, so they have to create another strategy to to disturb the opponent in a different manner, and then this one finds solutions, and then and they are able to they're really playing because they don't have to think about how to put the ball in or how to. So you reach another stage. And for us, common human, it happened only this. It's a kind of it's the same for an artist, which is a creator. You know, sometimes he stays for months without creating, and then suddenly he's got inspiration. But it's not by magic; it's by work. You know, when I teach, when I do 6, 7, or 8 hours of private lesson in a row, after 5 hours, I cannot miss the ball. It's impossible. I can do my shopping list, teach my students, do anything. It's impossible. It plays by itself because the body is conditioned. You have repeated so much that it plays by itself.
Wow.
At that stage, you reach. Yeah. It's not a magic or anything. You reach only by work. Lots of work. Then it becomes automatic, and you can separate yourself from the thing and start thinking about what is happening. That's a fantastic stage.
Is that what players call being in the zone, or is that something else?
I don't know in English, but
what is it?
You know, it's a second breath. Someone who you run, it's tough. Then you have a second breath or third breath.
Yeah. So often I'm kind of sad that.
And the people are addicted with that.
Yeah. You mean like the runner's high, like when you go running and then all of a sudden your brain switches off and you're able to continue running, and people get addicted to that feeling.
Yeah, so it's mental, it's also physical because there are some endorphin, some molecule who are created, but it's a stage of euphoria, like under drugs or something. That's why you see so many people, they are addicted to their sports.
I'm often sad thinking about this because, you know, anyone can turn on the TV, go on YouTube and watch the best tennis players play. You know, anyone can do that, right? But just like how you might be able to, like everyone, if you can afford it, can go to a fancy restaurant, a 5-star Michelin restaurant by Heston Blumenthal and eat something delicious, right? But only a very small percentage of people will be able to have that dish and actually be able to understand what exactly the chef has done to make it this delicious. Do you know what I mean? Most people just have the experience, right?
I see what you mean.
And so I feel
that's why sometimes it's difficult. That's why it's very difficult. It's impossible for a professional player, for instance, to really discuss about tennis with a spectator. You know, it's why it's very difficult as a coach to discuss. We can talk about this topic later, but with the parents who are not tennis players themselves. It's because the sensations are so different, the feelings, something to add to what you say, that they cannot taste that in this area, but maybe they taste it in another area of their life. There is no, so maybe they are they are mastering something else, and they are committed, because this comes in every situation with work. I think a gardener which is gardening for 10 years every day, he's got something special with the plant, like a kind of magic touch. He understands immediately. He's at another level. So it's not only about sports or tennis or whatever, big art, but something that people can experience, whatever is their level, is the joy, the pleasure of learning, of improving, and even if it's a small step, because that's why people are so addicted. As long as you improve, the game is so great by itself. That's why it's important not to change the rule of tennis. because by itself it's so well designed, it's so complete that even a beginner which is just improving a little bit, it's such a pleasure, such a satisfaction. You know, the joy, the happiness is always proportional to the effort you put on something.
Sorry, could you say that again?
The pleasure you have about something is, I think, for me, is proportional, is really related to the quantity of investment of work you have put to get that.
Absolutely, that resonates with me.
That's why you enjoy more a meal that you cook yourself rather than a meal that you will order with a food delivery service. Like once, if you order something with a delivery service, once you receive that thing, well, you get it. Now you want something else. But then if you spend time building something, and then you can measure the chance you have, you can enjoy this gift. So, and improvement is for everyone, and it's more for when you are beginner, when you're amateur at the beginning, you have, for a small amount of effort, you get big improvements. Think about the professional. Maybe they are in that stage where they have euphoria. Sometimes they have some pleasure because they like some of these drugs, these things. But for them, improvement is extremely difficult. They will be committed for months and months and months to change a little thing, a little improvement. It's not rewarding.
Yeah, I kind of when you were saying that, I was thinking of I realized last summer when I was traveling around New Zealand that everything tastes more delicious when you take it up a mountain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that kind of it's like you put in the effort. You put in the effort. You've gone up this giant hill, and now you can reward yourself with this banana, and it's the best banana that you've ever had. But if I was at home, I don't even I don't even take a second look at that.
Exactly. Or water. If you're not thirsty, you don't want to drink water. If you're very thirsty, a glass of water is super enjoyable.
Can we go back a little bit?
This is not a reason to always put yourself into difficult time to enjoy more. I'm not saying that. Sometimes it's good to have a bit of comfort and things, but it works like that.
Yeah, I think so. Can we go back a little bit to? Can you talk a little bit on the design of tennis as a game and why you think it's such a beautiful and deep game?
But the design, the features of tennis, it has a long history. So there is a culture. It's universal. It's played everywhere. So that's fantastic because it's well developed everywhere. But in itself, interestingly, I think it's the scoring system, which is amazing. The fact that it's a battle between two players, but without contact, something very special.
Can you talk about the scoring system?
Oh,
why is it amazing? Why is it amazing? Because it's a strange thing for people who don't play tennis. In fact, many beginning players want to forget about the scoring system completely. That why don't we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
There is there is no deuce. At the end of the game, there will be a winner, there will be a loser. So that's important. You cannot play a bit soft and arrange for like a football match 2-2 at the end of the match. No, there will not be 2-2. It will
have penalty serves.
You have to score another goal.
Yeah.
So there is no deuce. There is no limit of time. So when you embark for a tennis match, you embark for a drama, a marathon. It's an adventure because of that. And the adventure lasts until one of the two collapse. So it's incredible story. To
And
replace, it's like gladiator who goes until they are dead, the death, you know.
yeah, not many sports are like that, huh?
Without limit of time.
Yeah, there's not that. Yeah, there's only a few.
Yeah.
And why, do you know why they score it like they do, like 15, 30, 40 deuce, and why it goes to 6? I mean, these all seem very random from a beginner's standpoint. Do you know the reason why they've
I know
done it?
roughly, yeah. I know
go
the
on.
history roughly, yes. But then just I can tell you that, but just to finish about the features, it's in tennis you can have someone leading at the score during 1 hour. So during 1 hour, I'm leading at the score. I win the first set. I lead in the second set. So during 1 hour, I'm the leader of the race. Everything is fine. My opponent is far behind. And then in a few minutes, I have a little down. And of course, my opponent will have a up at that time. Or because just your opponent feels that it's the end for him. Like when you are reaching towards the end, your opponent will give his best because he's fighting to survive.
He's in the
So
corner.
he can award you a few free points at the beginning where it's easy for you, but at the moment you're gonna die, there is a survival resilience, and he's not going to give it to you. He's going to play his best at the moment where you have to finish. It's difficult, and you are getting more tired at that time also. So it gives a lot of chance for the opponent to catch up all the time. And so you can lead for 1 hour, and then you have 5 minutes, or you are a little bit under the level of your opponent, and then you win the second set, and then at the score it's 1-1. So it's 1-1, but you have dominated so much, and he didn't, but it's 1-1. Third set starts, you know, and so the every game, the scoring systems are back at 0-0. There are so many times where you are back at 0-0. So you always give a chance.
Wow, that's
and actually,
yeah.
Actually, now we have statistics about the game, and now we know, like the best player in the world, the top player in the world, when you look at their statistics, they lose as many points as they win, almost at 1 or 2%. It's like 51 points won, 49 points lost.
What? How does that make sense?
Because there are some points who count more than others, who are more important than others. You can win a match and at the same time lose more points than your opponent. In which sport do you see that? In which sport do you see that?
That's insane, because the thing about tennis rankings that I find surprising, if what you're telling me is true, right, is, you know, I remember when I was learning tennis, the big four were Roger Federer, Andy Murray, Rafa Nadal, Djokovic, and Ferrer. There was like, Ferrer was like the cutoff point.
You are really young.
Anyways, but I remember these guys stayed on top for years, and like years on, right? And what you're telling me is like, in a reason, in kind of like the top 10, top 20 kind of level, right? The only difference is 49% to 51%, right? But the top players, I can't believe that they are 2% better than the rest.
But now we have the statistics, so just now we know exactly. Actually, the game. I'm not a specialist of the high level, so sorry if I'm a bit wrong on the statistics, but it's about okay, this player, let's say like Novak Djokovic, for instance, it's an example. It's maybe when it's when the opponent is serving, is returning, and it's 40-30 for the opponent, so game point for his opponent. On the advantage side, with backhand during the match is able to return his backhand 5 times out of 7 in. And then the player which is number 20 in the world or 30 in the world, on the same area, he will be able to return 4 times out of 7. And that one return in that he has more than the other makes the difference, because it's 30-40 is an important point.
Wow. You know, like
You know, the difference between them is not on a match, on a point, is something, it's overall a season. It's how they are able to keep their level consistent at that level. Even a player, Anthony told me that, because a player which is maybe 200 or 300 or 200, let's say 200, is able to play maybe not like Djokovic, but like the 20th in the world. A few months during the year, he will play that level. A few months, but not the whole year. And that makes a difference in the ranking. A big difference, because one is making a living, the other one is not living with tennis.
Just going back to the scoring system, as you were talking, I kind of had this image.
I haven't answered your question.
Okay.
Your first question about why is it like that?
Okay, go on.
But maybe you know better than me.
No, I was going to say something completely different. Yeah. I was going to say the fact that you have to, the beginning of the point is always exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? You start to serve with the point, and at that point, before you serve, everything's even, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like how a human life is just a collection of individual days, right?
Yeah.
And every day there's 24 hours, right?
Yes.
And sometimes even with kind of the consistency thing that you're talking about, you know, sometimes you get really motivated, right? Sometimes you get really man, this weekend I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get a 6-pack, right? I'm going to go work out, I'm going to do all the studies, I'm going to go build the thing that I was going to build and talk to the people that I'm going to talk to. And then you might be able to do that for 1 or 2 days, right? And then third day you wake up a little bit late. Fourth day, you know, you kind of forget about it. Fifth day, you're back to normal, right? And what I keep thinking about as I, you know, age and get more experience, it's not about what you do for 2 days of flaming hot passion, right? It's the things that you can do consistently. Who's able to keep up, right? Their effort over long term, like day in, day out, right? The little things, that's the things that's going to add up over a lifetime. Yeah. It's not the things that you do for a week.
But it's like in a tennis match.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you can compare.
And like the mindset as well, like, and it actually, when you start the point, right, it's like a new day, right? Yes, you don't have to think about yesterday. You don't have to think about tomorrow. You can.
No, and But and if you do, if you do, it's really bad.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Go on.
It's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. And yes, that's where the players are amazing. That's where it's another area where the tennis and the life are. I mean, it's a passport for life, and it's a good formation for life, because you go through. I mean, a tennis point which is over is over. You cannot change it. It's in the past. You have to focus on the one coming. And if you start thinking about 2 or 3 points ahead, or if you, like, let's say that you are close to finish, you think you are close to finish a game because you lead at the score, and you start thinking about winning, or you thinking about the next match, or you are done, because you are not in the moment anymore, and you have no chance against someone which is in the moment, like your opponent will be in the moment.
How do you train for that?
It's difficult to train for that. You have to understand it. You have to accept to lose and miss. Some players, they have some kind of routine that helps them a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult.
You know what? Like that's fascinating because it's like there have been
It's like the
studies,
routine in life, huh?
there have been books written on the habits of high performance people in general, right? And habits as in things that they don't have to think about, things that are routine for them, right? And a lot of the times it's what they do for the first 2 hours after they wake up, and it's what they do for the last 2 hours before they go to bed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know the routine thing that tennis people talk about. I know that a lot of people use the string adjusting kind of thing as a cue to, okay, breathe, get back to this point in the mental state, now go.
Yeah.
Right. And I find that there are a lot of parallels between kind of tennis as a game and life as a game, right? If you choose to look at it that way. So I find that some of the concepts personally that have made me a better tennis player, right? Some of the concepts can give you an interesting insight into how you might be able to improve in life in general.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's not only tennis, it's that's something like sports in general can help with. Maybe art also.
Mm.
Because someone which is trying to create a piece of music or something and he's stuck for months and he keeps trying and he needs his routine.
Mm.
Yeah. Something which is amazing with tennis is that it's a battle against another person, and that's very interesting because our brain is made in a way like our archaic brain, like the brain of the prehistorical humans who were hunting or who were exposed to dangers in the nature, has a tendency to select and to emphasize on the negative rather than on the positive. It's something which is normal in the nature because if there is a lion running after you, you have to remember it. That's why you have like a kind of scar, a kind of something which is marked in your brain, like in English, a trauma.
Mm.
When something bad happened to you, like you burn your hand one time, then you will remember forever because the pain is so terrible that it marks you for life.
Mm.
And then you will not put your hand in the fire again. So naturally, our brain has been selecting a lot the negative, these things to avoid dangers. And when some scientific has shown that when you play tennis or maybe other sports like boxing or opposition sports like maybe fencing or jiu-jitsu or this kind of sports, you have thousands of negative ideas who pop up in your brain while you are playing. So, most of the time the players, they always emphasize on the negative. Oh, I missed that. Oh, my backhand is out. Oh, I didn't do well. They are not able to see the positive at all. So, during a tennis match, there are about thousands of negative ideas who arise in your brain, and you have to deal with that.
Mm.
And you're alone. You don't have a coach to tell you what to do, how to behave.
Yeah, that's another very rare aspect of
You have to deal
tennis.
with it alone.
Mm. Yeah,
That's why
even
tennis is. They are talking. The tennis player most of the time you can hear them. They are talking to each other. They are talking to themselves
I
loudly.
heard that.
A lot.
I read one time that every tennis player talks to themselves.
Everybody, yes, everybody, all the time.
Why?
To refocus, I think that it's a strategy to avoid to. It's a survive. It's a way to survive. You want to. It's too difficult to handle.
Mm.
All this idea will pop up or too difficult to handle. So you need to exteriorize. You need relieve to release the tension.
Mm.
So you shout, you talk to yourself, and it's forbidden to talk to anyone else. So you have to deal with it alone. So yeah.
Mm. But before I forget, tell us about the scoring system.
I'm not really sure. I think it was a kind of distance to serve from, like 15 feet, so 30 feet, something like that.
So before
Then
tennis
it
was
then it, then
modernized.
it,
Yeah.
then it could be used also as you can use the scoring system to compensate a difference of level by using it as a handicap.
Okay.
But I don't know much more than that.
And so you
I
don't
read a
know
lot
why
about the
they
history of
call
tennis.
why is zero called love in tennis? Do you know?
I heard that it's uh, in French the egg, the shape of an egg, the egg we say l'œuf. And it's a French game, you know, le jeu de pomme, the palm that was taken to England in the middle of the 19th century, and the English, like the Baron de Winfield, took this game. Was played inside. It was played inside, like a bit like squash, but with a net and two opponents. It was an amazing game. There are still two courts in France. It's very interesting to see that. Well, it was le jeu de pomme, the game of the palm, and the racket has a shape of a palm, so it's disymmetric. It's not round. So it has been. It was reserved a long time ago. It was very popular, but François Ier, the king, has forbidden it to the people because they were betting, drinking, fighting, and they kept it for the royalty. After the French Revolution, a lot of royalty people from France exiled to England. And the Duc d'Orléans was hosted, or he was jailed something in Winfield in England. And there he has transmitted the rules of this game. And the English, the British, they took it outside to be played on the lawn. So it became the lawn tennis. What was the question, Hans?
I don't
Sorry.
even remember, but
so no, it was.
I have the next question ready. Don't worry. I wanted to
And
ask.
yeah, so sorry. So love,
Yeah.
said in English, love with the English love, and it's the same with tennis. The word tennis itself. Before serving, you had to to make sure he's ready. You have to tell your opponent, "I'm going to serve," right? So you have in French, they used to say in tenez, tenez. So it's you tenez. So tenez is when you give something to someone. You can say tiens if it's your friend, like someone familiar. But if it's with the distanciation and the respect of hierarchy, you will not say tiens. You will say tenez. So tenez, T-E-N-E-Z. There is a Z. Tenez, tennis, tennis.
It's when you give something to someone.
Yeah, it's before tenez. Like if I handle you something, I will say tenez, like that you grab it. Like
here you go.
Here you go. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. how many students do you think you've taught so far in life?
But last time I calculated because it's above. It's certainly above 2,000. Well, I count everyone. I think I spend like 15,000 or maybe 17,000 hours.
Wow. Have
Of coaching.
you noticed any?
And mainly beginners.
Yeah. Have you noticed any patterns about over the years about people who are able to excel at tennis, at learning tennis? Have you noticed any
No.
commonalities in potentially their habit, um, their
But,
disposition, their attitude, like anything? Can you say anything about that?
you see, I told you that for me the technique was that I haven't learned was definitely my limit, and because I haven't learned the proper fundamentals. So when I was playing for myself a lot, and so basically with the time, for me, there are 4 type of limits that can limit the improvement of a tennis players. And some people are going through all this barrier easily. So there is a technical part, and some people are really talented for learning, especially here in Asia. The kids are learning super fast, very easy for them to reproduce something that you tell them to do. But it's not enough in tennis. It doesn't make a tennis player. It's only one part. The other part is physically. That was also one of my limits. And because when I was young, for us, there was only one type of fitness training. It was to go jogging. So everybody was able to, most of the people had a good stamina, but then me, I was lacking of strength, and I've never been doing any strengthening, core muscle or anything, nothing. I discovered that later. I was 25. So it can be physical, but some people are born with strong body.
Yeah, it's genes. You're not going to be Usain Bolt.
Yeah, exactly. Then there is a lot, the environment. The environment for a tennis player, especially for the kids, is whether the parents have the capacities to can afford to. It's not about money only, but it's about the time they have, their availability to allow their children to play enough and consistently. This environment, tactical, the strategy, I think it can come by doing if you have the other things. And then the other one is it touches about some human limits, like you need to have some kind of human qualities, like if you're not like, so you need to be open-minded. You need to accept to play with everyone, with better player, with worse player. You need to be able to accept to train with anyone. You need autonomia. That's very important. I'm trying to explain to the parents sometimes, because we sometimes it's important at a young age that the parents are involved to help their children to do enough and to support them. But it's also important that at a young age also they withdraw a little bit to help developing this autonomia, because on the tennis court you are alone, and the young tennis player, and for me that's exactly what defines a tennis player. It's the ability, it's not about the level, it's the ability to organize a tennis session for yourself by yourself without any help from outside. As long as it's your parents who pack your bag, book your court, find a partner for you, drive you to the tennis court, or sign you up for a tournament, this kid is not a tennis player. He will become a tennis player when he will be able to pack his bag, to find a partner to play with, to call him, to book a court, to go by himself, to find a way. Maybe it's his parents driving, but it's the kid who has organized. And it's the same with adults. I have a lot of students. They play only with me. I keep trying to tell them to play with someone else. You imagine my responsibility is huge. The day I'm not here, they don't play. So they are not yet real tennis player. They might have a very good level. Huh? It's not about the level. It's about the ability to do by yourself. So technical, physical, the environment, this autonomia, then understand the game and the strategy, and then perseverance. Voilà. And you need to be realistic a little bit also. Some people have these qualities, some don't have. Some they have one or two very strong, but they lack a lot of the others.
If you're only comparing a tennis player to themselves from the day before, right, or from the last session, right, so that you're not considering kind of your genetic gifts, you're not considering more like the other factors, but in terms of what you do on court when you're there, right?
Yeah.
Because I've always noticed that if you teach a group of 3 to 6 kids, there are always a few. They might not be the best players. They might not be the strongest players in the group, but ones that learn faster or improve more, right?
Yeah.
And I always used to wonder what it is about these people or these kids sometimes that lets them learn more faster in the same amount of time, right? Have you noticed any patterns over the years?
Usually when they are gifted to learn tennis fast, they are also gifted to learn fast in any other topic.
So you're saying it's another kind of talent.
Yeah, it's something. They have something with they have capacities for learning, and it's not easy for them because they have so much choice that sometimes they tend to do a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, and finally they don't do enough in one because they are good at everything. And what happened is that with the time, like at a young age, they are ahead by far. They can learn 10 times faster for the same amount of time spent on the court. Not 10 times, but 4 times. Like in 1 year, I will do the same program as in 4 years with another one. But the thing is that these players, they tend to work much less. They tend to work less hard than the others who are not gifted, who are not learning fast. But this one, paradoxically, they keep insisting, and they have that thing about this routine to go back to training. And after a few years, I mean, whatever is the talent of one, the other one who has been training hard is going to be so much better.
Wow. And it kind of has a interesting.
So it's an illusion because as a young age, the one who learn fast, they can give illusion. And to their parents, it's difficult to tell them, to explain to them that he's very good, but he doesn't really like it. He doesn't want to, when he fail, he avoid it. He doesn't want to insist.
I also really like how you picked out the invisible part of improving, of becoming a tennis player, or your definition of the tennis player is one that takes it upon himself to play, to learn, and to improve.
Exactly. Once a week, Sunday morning with your neighbor.
Yeah. And like it's a hard thing to do. And I remember when I had to take a 4-hour bus ride to some place I don't know, to be able to get my
Yeah.
community coaching thing, right? And when I was working in the States, right, I did my own research. I had to go get the tennis certification. I'm in Florida, and it's in the tennis capital. Again, I had to book a accommodation. I was 19 years old, right? I know
Yeah.
nobody in Florida. Take a bus ride to the middle of nowhere. Sleep in some motel so that I can attend a 2-day tennis coaching seminar. And
But you are a champion. That's the definition of a champion. That's only that. You're a star, Hans. Very few people. There are some people like you. There are, but there are many. They are not. They might have everything else, but not that. So they cannot play. They are not player.
yeah, and it's something. I'm not the part. I don't agree with you about the champion thing, because I know
No,
I've seen real champions. I've seen.
no,
I've heard
no, I
of
don't like this word.
I I've heard of George. Have you heard of George St. Pierre? He's a
George St.
George St. Pierre. He is a
No, I
UFC
don't know.
champion, a mixed martial arts
No,
champion from Canada, right?
maybe, but I don't know what. No, I don't know.
And he has an amazing story about when he was coming up, when he realized that he wanted to do this, he wants to pursue this seriously. He was living in Canada, right? Working as a rubbish man, right? Taking a 9-hour bus ride to New York from Canada to train at this one gym with the best teacher. And he was doing that 4 times a week, every week for 2 years or
Yeah.
something, and nobody knew him. And that's some dedication, you know. What was I going to talk
That's
about? But go on.
no, sorry, it's my fault because I cut you. But you were mentioning about you doing so many efforts when at the same
Yes.
time others might have all the environment, the access,
Yes.
and they are not doing.
This is what I want to talk about, because I'm teaching at the moment at Auckland University, and I've taught tennis and I've taught design at other places around the world. And one of the most painful experiences I keep going through is I see potential, right? I see that kid who's able to pick up things really fast. They already come in and they, with a few instructions, they understand concepts and they get it, and they have the eye for it,
Yeah.
right? But they don't try, but they don't have the other side, right? They don't have the other side. I'm like, dude, if you just push a little bit more, you could be great. I mean, you could be better than me, right? But I've never succeeded, and it's kind of painful, because as a
I have a
teacher, you
question for
can
you
see it.
about that.
You can see the level that they could reach. But
Yeah, the potential is huge. It's a bit sad sometimes.
yeah,
But Hans, because you have this experience, I have a question for you, because
go on.
maybe you can tell me, but me in that situation, I have a dilemma now. Because so far, I was thinking, okay, you have to show them. You have to do for them a little bit, because they cannot start. So you have to set fire, and then. But then after a while, you realize that it's counterproductive, because you find out, okay, what is lacking is to go intrinsic. It doesn't need any extrinsic or exterior incentive. He needs to find it inside himself.
Yeah.
And it's impossible, because the more you will do, you have to do less, actually, to force him to start. It's very difficult as a teacher.
So what was your question?
So my question is how you deal with that. What are the limits? For how long can you do it for themselves? And when can you say, okay, now stop? You do it or you don't do it? I mean, it's a risk also. You might lose your student also.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
difficult.
Well, I've had this is what I know. This I can share what I've experienced, right? I've had 0% success rate, right? In being able to convince someone to do something that they don't see themselves that need to be done. 0%, right?
Yeah.
And I've come to the conclusion that they they have to experience the need for or the need for them to improve or do something for them to do it, right? So the most I can do is show them the need, right? Like if they don't have a backhand, keep hitting to their backhand, keep hitting to their backhand,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes they some of these guys, they're stubborn, they're super stubborn, right? And they'll keep running around to hit their forehand, right? But they'll
Yeah.
reach a limit exactly that you did, where
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
either develop they either learn to develop backhand, or they develop a ridiculously crazy inside out forehand running maneuver, right? That nobody else in the world can do. And I can't remember which Greek philosopher it was, but there's a story. Maybe it's Aristotle. Like someone came to him seeking knowledge. How can I gain knowledge and wisdom? And this, I can't remember who it was. This philosopher, he takes this person who's just come through the door, takes him to the local river. Right? He says, "Come on in the river." Right? And they go waist deep into the river. He's like, "Come close." And he gets this guy and he shoves his head under the water until this guy is almost drowning, right? And he pulls him up and he's like, why did you do that? Are you crazy? Right? And he goes, when you desire knowledge as much as you desired the breath of air as you were in the water just then, knowledge will find you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Um, and so it's a bit sad, but I'm kind of done wasting my time, not wasting my time, but
No,
trying
but
to spend overly, like, a lot of effort trying to convince, or trying to I can only bring the horse to the well.
there is
That's what I
nothing
can
which
do.
is stronger than a belief.
Mm,
Belief is not tangible. There is no evidence. It's not a rational thinking. It's a belief.
mm,
It's impossible to change the belief. It's very difficult to change the belief. You
mm,
cannot force someone to change his belief.
mm,
Either he change himself. You can create situations, try to open their mind, and then sometimes it ring a bell. And sometimes the accumulation of bells will ring, then he will find out and improve. Sometimes it takes a long, long time. Sometimes nothing happened and they have suddenly there is a moment they understand.
and there is
So
one other factor to this. One other factor to this, which is luck, right? Which is luck.
also, yeah, a lot, yeah.
And by luck, I've seen luck happen. It's happened to me, right? It happens in many different ways, but one of the ways it happens, right, is is it comes in the form of timing and coincidence. Like, if I think about your story, maybe for 10 years people have been telling you, Matthew, you should work on your backhand, man. You should work on your backhand.
Yeah,
You should work on your back. Maybe you just don't hear it. It's like, nah, I got
yeah,
this.
yeah,
I can run
exactly.
around, right? But
Yeah,
maybe one day, right? Maybe one day your favorite tennis player in the world, happens to be in town, right? And he has a point with you, and he sees you play. He's like, "Hey, man, you should work on your backhand," and he just walks past,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
maybe
but there are some voice that you can hear. You accept to hear more. There are,
that's right.
yeah,
That's what I mean. That's luck. That's luck.
Exactly. Yeah.
It could be the same message, right? But a lot of times, like the time, you have to be ready to be listen. You have to be ready to listen to the message, right?
Exactly.
And you have to listen to the message, and someone has to tell you the message when you're ready to listen. So it's like a two very difficult things
Yeah.
coinciding. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
If
Eh,
someone
but
tells you,
as a
if you
professor,
tell,
you are trying to create these conditions all
yeah,
the time.
if someone tells you the right message, but you're not ready to listen, you're not getting it, right?
No.
If you're ready to listen, but there's no one there for you to, tell you what's next,
Yeah.
it's hard. You have to do it yourself, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
when these
Yeah.
two things combine, I think that's what we call luck.
Yeah.
And sometimes it happens, and it lights a fire. It lights a little
Yeah.
spark.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's something, like a miracle. You can just smile. You can't like, I don't think I can systematize it. I can't, you know,
No, but
mass
you can try to
manufacture
create the
this.
conditions and
Yes, and just be smile when it happens,
yeah.
But if it doesn't happen, that's fine. I got other shit
Yeah.
to do.
Exactly. Sometimes it's not lost forever. Sometimes it happens later.
Mm,
You might be not here to witness that, but this person will change his. Oh, but you need to be also. I think it's good to be a good example, like not to come with your. Because if you talk to someone with idea like you have your own belief, he will not say, no, 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 me, I have my own belief. And you, obviously, you have your own belief. So it's not going to work. So you have to show also to apply on yourself, to show by example a bit, and to me. I mean, the more I teach, the less I know. I accept. The more I accept to say I don't know. I often say
mm,
I don't know, often, and in that case, maybe they will look into it with you,
mm,
like, you don't know. Okay, maybe we can find together.
mm.
In that case, maybe I can help you to find. I don't know, but I know how to know. you know,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Have you ever thought about ego in tennis?
ego.
Yeah, ego. I think it can
Wow.
be extremely destructive, right? But I think it's like anything else, there's a balance. I think there's a healthy ego, right? And I
Yeah,
was thinking about when you were talking about, you have sometimes you have to you're talking about students who refuse to play with anyone else, right?
yeah. Sometimes they don't want to play because the other one is not as good. Supposed to be not as good. Supposed to be is too young. They don't want to play with the girl. Don't want to play with the boy, or the boy doesn't want to play with the girl.
Mm,
So if you have this kind of limits, you have no
mm.
chance.
Because for me, my challenge in tennis was I didn't I didn't play matches. I didn't play matches. I had opportunity many times. I used to be on court for hours and hours, but I wouldn't play matches. I'd play simulated points,
Yeah, but
first to six, tie breaks, these kinds of things. And it was only later that I realized that was what was holding me back. And the reason why I didn't want to play matches was because I was afraid of finding out where my real level was, because
yeah.
if I lose to this person this day, he's better than me, right?
Yeah, but
And
you didn't try, so you will never know. Then
yeah, so
you
there's
will
like,
never know if maybe your level is higher than you think
and it's
in
comfortable
a
that
match.
way. Exactly.
The tennis match, but you are young, so you still can do. But it's super important. You don't need to do too many, but it's super important to do a little bit.
Mm, mm. Bro, can I tell you something that I figured out? This is like, I'm not even. I feel like this is one of the things that I figured out in life that I feel could help a lot of people, right? And and I haven't shared it with many people at all, right?
Mm.
And it's something that I learned while coaching tennis, right? And I and it's about habits, right? It's about forming habits, right?
Mm.
If you accept that successful people, or to achieve a great height in any pursuit, right? It's a result of uh, everyday habits that have built up over a long time, right? You can uh, and there's been a lot written about the power of habits, right?
Mm.
A lot of people know about this, and most people in the world that I know, that I interact with, everyone's kind of struggling with this, right? Everyone knows, everyone knows a habit that they could work on, right, to improve their situation in life.
Mm.
Right? But it's not easy, right? Quitting smoking, right? Something as simple as waking up early, right? Something as simple as not eating sugar, right? Very hard to
Mm.
do. Easy to say, very hard to do, right? And I'm the same as well. I'm only human. But I think I learned something while tennis coaching, which really helps with that. And I had this realization after a coaching session, right? And I realized what a part of my job, one of the ways that you teach tennis as a coach, right, is you develop good habit loops, right? Which is, someone is sending me a cross court forehand with topspin, right? That's my cue, right? I notice that input, right? The best thing I can do is to send the cross court forehand back. That's the highest percentage play, right? Because the guy
Mm.
is in position, right? Routine.
Mm.
That's my routine, right? I get the cue,
Okay.
I execute the routine, and my reward is a good shot, right?
Mm.
And a lot of tennis is like this. So, uh, okay, this time he gives me a forehand, right? He's out of position. That's my cue. I get a forehand. He's out of position. Hit it to the other side of the court. That's a routine, and the reward is I win the point. It's a loop. It's a
Mm.
habit loop that you train, right? You
Mm.
teach people to
A scheme
recognize.
like.
Yeah, you
Mm.
you teach people to recognize a situation, right?
Mm.
Build in a routine, right, which leads them to a favorable outcome, right?
Mm.
That's how you teach tennis sometimes, right?
Yeah.
In this situation, do that, and then the reward is you win the point or whatever, right? And in tennis, in a practice session, you do this over and over again. You put up a cone over there.
Mm.
Your coach stands at the front. He gives you over and over again the
Yeah,
situation,
repetitions.
right? And you get to practice
Yeah.
the routine for 30 minutes, the same thing, duh, duh, duh,
Yeah,
duh,
but
duh,
mm.
right? And it builds some kind of muscle memory, right?
Mm.
You get that ball, this is what you do.
Mm.
And
But yeah, keep going, yes, keep
yeah.
going.
And I kind of wondered, right?
But it's
I kind of wondered after that day, going, just thinking about the two situations: habits in life and habits on the tennis court,
mm.
right? On the
I
tennis,
mean,
yeah.
if you want to do that, you want to transfer this in life,
Hang on, hang on,
but no, it doesn't work.
hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. So hang on. So this is the asymmetry that I found between the two
Okay,
situations, right?
okay.
And the asymmetry is, when you go on the tennis court, you can go there to play a match, or you can go there to practice, right?
Okay.
Two very different modes
Mm.
of being on a tennis court,
Yeah.
very different motivations, very different routine, very different experience of being on a tennis court, same balls, very different experience, right? In life, when I want to quit smoking, when I want to wake up early, you know what to do. Everyone knows what to do, but there is only one. You're just on court, right? There is no practice. You're never practicing this, right?
Yeah.
And exactly as you might guess,
You wake up every morning, Hans.
I went, yeah,
So
I went.
you can repeat
What if
in life.
there was
There are lots of
training
repetitions.
session? What if there was a what if I designed a training session for one of these habits, like I designed a training session for tennis?
Yeah.
Right. So I did this one day. I had a real problem waking up early.
Okay.
Consistently. It would be easy when I had a meeting at 7 a.m. Fine, I wake up. If I had to go to work, I wake up. But as soon as I made my own business and nobody was telling me to wake up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Really hard,
Mm.
right? So I had this thought, and I scheduled a practice session, right? Tuesday, 2 p.m. Waking up training, right? The court is my bedroom. Okay. And I set it up exactly the same. I said, okay, the cue is the alarm, right? The routine, I get out of bed, I make my bed, and I drink a glass of water. The reward is the water, right? The sensation of water, right? I put my alarm on for 4 minutes, right? For 1 hour, right? I keep on doing this over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes I don't even fall asleep, right? I'm just like in this, just making sleep. Wake up, because it's so easy. It's like in tennis, someone's feeding me the balls. I can't fail. If I fail in that situation, I am an idiot.
No, it's not possible.
It's impossible to fail, right? I did this practice session one time, right? For 6 months, every single day, I was able to wake up at 6 a.m.
Okay.
Until I went on holiday. And then I came back and it kind of was gone, right? So it was like, it helped me like kickstart a habit.
There is a limit to that.
Yeah.
It works.
There was I think it was just to kickstart something that was very difficult to do, right? And I was like, I wonder, like, it's one of those things that I figured out.
You have built the neurologic and the body, the physical and the neurologic circuit in order to do it. But then it's not complete, and it cannot be. It's the same for tennis. Like when you repeat something, okay, you are building the
muscle,
the nervous connections, your muscle, everything in order to be able to do that. So then the body is able to do that. And also you react a bit faster because you immediately recognize the situation, and it becomes more automated. But then the problem is that when there is a parameter would change, like if it's not a cross court, it's a down the line, and like instead of waking up being not tired, but that day you are sick or you didn't eat well, or there is a parameter, something will change. There is something more that you need. It's not enough. You need that a bit, but it's not enough at all.
Yeah. So the situation changed for me one day. One day I went on holiday, right? And I went out every night. I came back late and I didn't care about when to wake up. And I did this for about 2 weeks, right? And when I went back, right, I had to go to work, right? I was working and I just forgot about it, and my habit went away. It just went away, right? Until I realized, like, oh, I have a problem. I have a problem. And then I did the practice again, and then it came back.
What about why not relying on the joy, on the pleasure that it brings? Because you have been able to waking up early a few times. You have been able to do. It's an example. I don't know, to do more things. Then you had more free time in the evening, or then you were proud of yourself instead of feeling guilty of
Mm.
not doing, and this brings you some satisfactions.
Mm. I'll
And
tell you why. I'll tell you why.
and I'm using that. I'm just using
You
that. The
you are a
pleasure.
champion, my friend.
No, it's just like, okay, if I wake up too late, I cannot do the stuff and I feel guilty and I'm negative, I'm moody, I'm bad. Then when I wake up early, then I'm very happy. I have time to call my friend Hans, and I'm very happy. And the body you tend to go for happiness, right? You try.
I think ultimately that's what it has to be. I think ultimately for something to stick, it has
You
to
just feel
it has
better.
to
So you
be
must
this very uh, uh,
it
connected,
becomes
cohesive picture, balanced picture. It ties into everything else, right? But academically, right, scientifically, right, a habit. How do you define a habit, right? And I've looked into this. A habit is a habit when you receive the neurological reward for completing something without having completed the thing. This is what I mean, right? They do a
okay.
test with monkeys with the brain sensors, right? And they put the monkey in front of this machine, right? And in front of this machine, there's a button. When the button lights up, the button lights up. That's the cue. That's the hint, right? Monkey presses the button, right? That's a routine, right? And some fruit juice comes out of a straw, right?
Yeah.
That's the reward, right? Initially, right? Monkey has no idea that how this all works, right? And it takes a while for the monkey to figure out, oh, if nothing happens, oh, light comes on, presses it, right? And then juice comes out. Oh, juice came out. And then he presses and makes a bunch of mistakes, and he figures out, right, that when you push the button when the light's on, right, juice comes out, and they get the juice. And then when they drink the juice, they see the reward centers of the brain turn on, right? What happens if you leave the monkey in front of that machine for a long time, right? The state of the order of how his brain reacts changes. Initially, when he received the juice, he gets the pleasure, right? After a while, as
It's
soon as he sees the
think
light,
about
as soon
yeah.
as he sees the light,
You
he's
get it.
already getting the pleasure,
Yeah.
right? Why can't we stop eating chocolate cake, right? You're not thinking about it. You see the chocolate and you're already
Yeah.
eating it. Do you know what I mean? As in,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, in a routine, there is no thought involved,
Yeah.
right? There's no thought involved. You're already experiencing some kind of pleasure, right? Um, but before you even do the thing, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's really, 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 really hard to quit smoking. I think it's really irresponsible,
Yeah.
right, to tell people, hey, you need to quit smoking. That is a very bad advice. That's very bad advice. You know why?
No. Yeah.
Because if you
Because
just try to stop, you're trying to stop the routine without the reward, without any replacement of the reward, right? So it's
yeah.
really hard, right? So they might last 2-3 days, right? On the third day, right? Hard, maybe 2 weeks. Okay, I'll just have one, right? Really hard, right? Have one, and then they fail, right? This is where it gets dark, right? Because when you fail to quit smoking 2 or 3 times, there's another habit loop that happens in your brain, and it's like, oh, I can't quit smoking. That's not something that I am capable of, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Yeah. No, but I think it's a really good analyze. Yes. It works.
it's
It
just
works like
something that
that.
I learned. Some
Yeah.
things that I put together a while ago, and I'm like, I wonder if anyone else has tried this. And I've helped a
But
few.
to
I helped a few
practice
close
waking up
friends.
like that, like repetitions of waking up, I think it gets to be you, Hans, doing it.
It's a bit crazy, right?
Yeah, it's
But this is one of my
it's
biggest
not that
things.
crazy.
This is one of my
It's very smart.
biggest things, right? Is I talk about this all the time, right? Is Matthew, you're different to me, right?
Hmm?
And
Hmm.
your wife is different to you, and she's also different to me. Everyone's unique,
Yes.
right? And so it's not so strange to think that everyone wants different things out of life, right? Maybe for you, you want to live in a 5-story castle and have Ferraris coming. You have many Ferraris and Lamborghinis, right? Maybe for someone else, they want to live in a small village and go fishing with their best friend every day, right?
Yeah.
Maybe for some, everyone has a different idea, right, of what their ideal future might look like, right? That's not hard to believe, right?
May-
Um,
But
go on. Well,
but they can have things in common
yeah,
because the important is not the goal. They have different goal, but
yeah,
they are all looking for the same thing, and the reward, the pleasure comes from the process of getting it. Like
yes,
when the
yes,
guy is when you're packing your fishing line to go fishing with your friend, you are making an effort to prepare for that. You organize it, you wait for the fish for
mm,
hours, and you get a fish, and you have your friend.
mm.
And because you have all done all of that, you have a great reward. For the guy who wants a Ferrari, if if he spent his whole life with this objective, and he's, I don't know, he's saving money all the time, he's doing 2 jobs at a time to get a little more, and then he's trying to negotiate with someone to have a discounted price, and then he's doing a lot of effort, and then finally he get a Ferrari. He will be very happy because he has put effort into it, because he
Mm.
wanted. What makes him up? It's like your chocolate cake. It's not because it's good that we want it. It's because we want it that it's good.
That's a deep
And this is for everyone, everybody.
that's a deeper conversation. I'm talking about
No, no. Uh,
a much simpler level, at a much simpler level.
uh,
I think people want different features. People want different lives. They have different priorities and different values. Similar common values as well, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Where if I want a future that is different from yours, right? Then the way that I spend my time today should look different to the way that you spend your time today, right? But when I see the vast majority of people on the planet, including myself at times, right? If you are going to all the same parties, watching all the same movies, eating at all the same restaurants, going to all the same clubs every single day, right? And you expect your future to look vastly different from the guy next to you, you're
oh,
crazy.
yeah,
It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry, my
yes,
friend,
exactly.
right? And the thing is, the extra the the extraordinary people in life who I read about, sometimes have the pleasure to meet, who are living that vastly different lifestyle or have achieved some kind of uncommon success, right? If you look at how they spend their time on the daily, it's different from how most people spend their time. But when you haven't arrived at your success, right? And you're spending your time in a way that looks very different from the guy next to you, everyone next to you will point at you and say, dude, you're weird. What the hell are you doing? Get
Oh, yes,
normal.
especially nowadays.
Come to the club. What's wrong with you? Why are you lying in bed at 2 p.m.? waking up over and over again.
I mean, there is a uniformization of the way of life, which is crazy, especially at the moment
Mm.
with the internet, the social networks, uh, all of that. Then at the same time, you have the movies show you like amazing lives, heroes, people different. But in a daily basis, everything tend to force the people to behave all in the same manner, like farm animals.
And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
In
You
life,
know,
no,
I'm
no,
fine
me,
with
I'm not.
that. But no.
Me, I'm not.
Hear me out. Hear me out. I'm fine with that. But
Yeah.
don't expect your life to look vastly different from the guy next
Oh,
to
yeah,
you,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
If you're a person who wants a very different future to the guy next to you or the girl next to you,
You
right?
have to bear the risk
Yes.
and you have
Yeah.
to
And you
accept the difference. Yeah.
exactly. Then I have a
Definitely.
problem with you, my friend,
And
right? If
we
then I
miss.
have a problem with you. But hey, like if you're happy the way things are and you want you're happy with the future being comfortable, you're going to you're going to enjoy the luxuries of modern life and have uh, and honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, I think one of the
Yeah,
most
some
environmentally
people are very
friendly
happy like that, and
lifestyles, one
it's
of the
very
environmentally friendly lifestyles that you could live as a human being right now is to stay at
yeah.
home, play video games, and order food online.
No, maybe a few people are very happy like that. Just I don't think that everyone, the majority, will be happy like that. And we have a system who tend to make us believe that it will make you happy like that. So this I cannot accept. But yeah, and it's a sacrifice also. If you spend hours working on your design projects, of course your social life will be affected. Me, I'm very happy in my life, but sometimes, I spend my time on a tennis court. I miss all the sunsets. I cannot do. I cannot go to any dinner with a friend because it's always a teaching time. So I miss a lot. I'm okay like that. But maybe I will compensate. Well, maybe one day I will do the opposite because it's difficult to accept to go specialized. It's very difficult because you go into an area and then you lose so much. On the other hand, you miss so much. And if you have a curious spirit, you want to know the other things, and that's where it's difficult, I think, to organize the time, because, and especially nowadays, because we have access to so many things that we are excited, and we want to learn so many things at the same time. It takes time. We've forgotten that the time is limited and we cannot do everything. Actually, we can do a lot, but one thing at a time. And it takes time. It takes time.
It's a lesson that,
And it's
it's a really simple
counterproductive when
thing, but
if you switch
it'll
too
take a
much.
lifetime to master, I think, the practice of living a life through those, that's true to those words.
Exactly.
Very hard.
That's why no one can be wise at 30 years old, 40 years old, or 50. I mean, you improve a bit, you discover, but so it takes a lot of time to.
Yeah. Hey man,
Yeah.
we have to do this again. There's so many questions
Yes.
that I didn't
Yeah.
get to, but I have one more question that I ask everyone who comes on this show. And we are a design company,
Yeah.
So I want to ask you.
And a fantastic design company, Hans. You're an amazing design company.
Thank you. You're an amazing human being, my friend.
And I would love to follow you with your mates, all your work together. It should be. You have already followed me on the tennis court, but yet I haven't really followed you. So I will come to Auckland
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. And I'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, final question. Is there a piece of design? It could be physical, virtual, it could be a service, it could be an experience that you would give a 9 out of 10 or more that you have had.
A piece of design that I would give a 9 out of 10.
Or more.
Do you consider as design the natural things, like
No.
made by the time and nature and
No, I do
natural
not think.
forces?
No,
So it has
I
to
call
be
that
human
nature.
made.
Yes.
Human create. Huh?
Yes.
Huh.
Is there something that you use every day? Is there something that you couldn't live without, or something that you would want to pass down to your children? Something like
Yeah.
that. Does anything come to mind?
Oh, it's difficult.
Nothing comes to mind.
I don't get it. No, but no, because I'm trying to look for material things.
Mm.
Because everything will pop up in my mind is not material. It's like I would say the knowledge, to share the knowledge, to have a conversation, the friendship, all of that. But it's not something designed.
Maybe it's a
It's
book.
not the
Maybe it's a
science.
book. Maybe you can tell us about a book that has
Yeah.
influenced your life. There must be something.
I will find. Give me just 20 seconds. I will find.
Hey, actually, I know the answer.
Oh, it can be food.
It can be food.
Oh yeah, food.
What food?
Food because
What food?
maybe because I'm French.
What food are you talking about? And where do you get this food?
A good dish, a boudin aux pommes. You don't know. It's crazy. A
From
couscous
where? Where do you
that you
get
share
this?
with your friend. Some fish that you hit by the side of the in a simple barbecue with a few friends. But no,
You're hopeless, man.
Hans, what were you thinking about? I know I'm stuck.
You're stuck?
Yeah, I'm a bit stuck.
I
A
I
ball,
I
a
thought
ball,
I thought you
a ball. It's amazing, a ball.
if you want I'll edit this video, so I'll give you the answer and then I'll cut this part out and then you can say this amazing answer.
Okay.
And the answer is the game of tennis.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Fantastic. You're like a cat, huh? You know how to finish, you know how to end up on your feet, on your legs.
Not all the
Yeah.
time. Not all the time. just
Oh, that's a good conclusion. Yeah, game of tennis. Fantastic. Thank you, Hans.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks.
Let's do
It's
another
always great
one
to talk to you.
anytime.
Yeah, let's do it. Maybe next month. Maybe you'll be a father.
Yeah. I should be a father by then.
Yeah.
Amazing. We speak about other things. And Hans, thank you, Professor. Your students are very lucky to have you. I hope they will have you face to face
As are yours.
soon, because I think for transmission it's a bit easier. And I'm supporting. I'm very curious about your projects, and I want to hear more soon.
Thanks, Matthieu.
Call me anytime.